It's said during economic recessions that some Earthicans get very, very desperate for food. They'll eat things that they'd never normally consider, and one such meal is the Dandelion Salad. Rather than using lettuce or spinach as the delicious leafy greens for their tasty salad, they collect dandelions from their lawn or public places. No one really cared because dandelions are technically weeds. Aside from the salads, dandelions would instead have been plucked and thrown away or ignored and left to seed, creating more dandelions. But I'm here to tell you that if you've ever plucked a dandelion before it turned to fluff, or worse, you ate one, then you might be guilty of murder. When you pluck a fluffy dandelion, close your eyes and make a wish. You blow and cast the seeds to the wind. At that same time, you're also giving life to today's subject, a Faerilee. When this creature comes to life with the help of a child's wish, they adopt an appearance related to their child's wish. First, they appear as a Puff, the baby Faerilee, a chubby little beast with a head made of dandelion fluff, with beady eyes and a joyful expression, with a tail looking much like the dandelion the child plucked. Due to some unique anatomy, though, that we'll discuss when we get to adult Faerilee, the Puff is incredibly light, with their dandelion fluffs making it possible to ride on the wind. This enhanced aerodynamics is super important because after you free them from their floral prison, they'll float on the wind. Without these light bodies and fluffy parts, they'd just drop straight to the ground. Splat! Upon landing, they start to accompany their creator and they'll grow into a Faerilee, where they'll try their best to keep the child happy. Faerilee tend to be around 2 feet tall or 61 centimeters if you're a tea drinker, with a soft, squishy body. The squishiness is the main reason that they're so light, because their body is incredibly porous, meaning they have billions of very, very tiny holes in their flesh. Think of it like the pores on your skin, but they would go all the way through. Now that's creepy when I say it like that, but it's kind of like that. It makes them very light and airy. They're so light that you might think that they would just take flight, but that's not quite right. They just float on the wind or even get carried away while they use these extra parts to change their direction. One such extra part would be their antenna. These antennae are also an extrasensory organ used to sense wishes. These antennae are made of 2 parts, the shaft of the ear and the outer membrane, the shaft of which is the main wish-detecting organs and holds their magic. This inner part of the ear works like a TV antenna. You adjust the direction and angle of them, and it lets them hone in on the wish. Without these nubby shaft-like structures, they'd struggle or be entirely unable to detect and fulfill wishes, which is why they have this outer membrane. They're like little balloons that provide a thin protective layer to the things inside of them. They tend to vary in shape and size, with Faerilee sporting smaller ones, opting to wear additional covers for their antenna to protect them further. You might remember how I mentioned the puffy tails of the baby Faerilee. Sometimes they retain this same tail, but they come in a lot of different styles, but for the most part, they're thin, rat-like tails with a puffball at the tip. Aside from these features, the Faerilee is pretty typical or average for an anthro creature. They're short and chubby. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. If you know what a Lalafell is, they have a very similar body type to the Lalafell, but with the option for digitigrade legs, and they also lactose. Despite being very light and squishy, they prefer to get their hands dirty, rarely using their magic to do anything personal. For example, if you were to wish for a cup of coffee, they would likely choose to just make it by hand if, possible. All the while walking in a very bouncy, skipping-like manner. In summary, the main features are 2 antennae on the head, made of a shaft covered in a protective balloon, short round faces with small muzzles similar to the chibi art style. They're chubby with small fingers, no toes. They have digitigrade or plantigrade legs, and some might be displayed with furred or matte textured bodies, have bunny-like noses, and legs shorter than their torso. That's for the average Faerilee, though. Sometimes a creature who is small, like a baby, may make their wish and create a cheap Faerilee. These are Faerilee who are stunted by the small amounts of wish power present in their creator. These cheap tend to be just a head with little arms, and I think they look quite ridiculous. Kind of like if they were the pug of Faerilee. And this odd shape has resulted in them having weaker wish power, and they're also more likely to get carried away by the wind. In summary, a Cheeb is just a head, and their limbs are smaller than their head. What happens though when the wish is grounded, realistic, and lacks the general loftiness that many wishes happen to have? Well, they create the Fairy Tour, a subspecies of Faerilee that's incapable of flight, in exchange for a strong, powerful body that lets them zoom about the land with the power and speed of a Chewika. Speaking of Chewika, they sometimes get confused for them, which, if you look at them, I don't know how. Maybe if you're really far away and you squint your eyes or something. Speaking of Chiweeka, if you want to learn more about Chiweeka and other species of the cancelled art game Lythbound, then you should like, subscribe, and stick around to the end card where you can catch the Chiweeka episode. Also, you'll be here for when I release these all as one big mega video. I just have 39 more species to go. It'll zoom by. In short, Faeritar have a centaur-like shape like the Chiweeka. Dandelion wishes make up the domains of land and air where these plants can grow no problem, but wishes come from all over. The world of Lythbound is massive, so of course there's beings who dwell under the sea. Well, they too have a form of Faerilee that gift them with their presence. These Faerilee are called Faerimaids. They can't walk or fly, but they can cut through water like a hot fish through butter. The influence of their new aquatic domain heavily affect their appearance by gifting them with many marine adaptations. Like our example Faerimaid here, they have a fishtail from the waist down, axolotl feelers on their cheeks, and a thin, jellyfish-like membrane sprouting from their wishy feelers. Basically, Faerimaids have aquatic adaptations like mermaid tails, scales, fins, web digits, and more fish-like membranes. When it comes to the design of any Faerilee, the most important thing to remember is the wish that made them. So if you make one, you could make the Faerilee first, or create the wish and use that as an influence on the design. When Lythbound was still active, in order to make one, you needed to complete their quest. This quest, like the majority on Lythbound, was just creating a member of the species in its baby form. In order to create Faeritar or Faerimaids, though, you needed an item to unlock the ability to make one. As a reminder, most of these species are open for creation now. I'll make sure to specify when they aren't, so if you like the Faerilee, Chiweeka, Axamar, or most others, feel free to make one. What are they gonna do? Stop you? I won't. If you want to see what happens when a Faerilee dies in combat and gets resurrected, then you should subscribe so you can catch the next video about Fabermon. For now though, let's thank my favorite Earthicans, the patrons and YouTube members who make videos like this possible. So thanks to Blonde Fishy, Worm Syrup, Alexis C, Radiante, Rask, Ver, WildKitty69, Beef, Bait, Cryptid Arthas, Sly, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linkies, Blackjack, Copyleft, and Malding Brick. If you sub to my Patreon on the paid tiers, you get access to my Patreon-only Discord, and access to my Original Species Mega Course where you'll learn everything from design to community management. If you become a YouTube member, you'll get emotes that you can use in the comment section and during live streams. Members are getting new updated emotes soon, so stick around for that. Both of these support packages start at just $1 a month. Regardless of what you do though, thanks for watching, and make sure to drink lots of water. I put chemicals in it to make the humans gay.